So it's Andréa Råsberg from Reach for Change, and with Sustainability Trends 2025 speech. Yes.
Every day, millions of children around the world are facing challenges such as climate change, inequality, and poverty. And this prevents them from living the lives that they deserve. And that's our reason for being at Reach for Change. We unleash the power of local social entrepreneurs and use this method to work for a better world. In Sweden today, we are facing challenges relating to segregation and exclusion. Income gaps and segregation are increasing across Sweden and all over the world. And unemployment and inequality differs a lot between the bigger cities and the suburban areas. And related to these challenges, we also see the mental health crisis. We are currently witnessing some of the highest rates of mental suffering among emerging adults in the Nordics compared to other industrialized countries. So it's obvious that we need drastic measures to change this. We cannot continue to do what we did in the past. We need to come together in new ways, collaborate between sectors, because no actor or municipality or business can do this alone. We need to come together in new ways, and we need to innovate how we innovate. My name is Andréa Råsberg. I am the country manager at Reach for Change. It's a global non-profit organization, and we do this every day. We connect people and organizations. We support social entrepreneurs because we truly believe that there's a big power in this way of working and contributing to a better world for everyone. And the reasons we believe in social entrepreneurs are many, and here are some of them. So first of all, they contribute and come up with innovative solutions. They oftentimes find gaps in the system and come up with solutions that sort of fill those. And in that way of working, actually a lot of times contributing to systems change. And there are many examples of this in the history, and two classic ones are the public libraries that we have today, or the daycare system. It actually started by entrepreneurs, people who saw a gap, wanted to do something about it, and now it's an integral part of the Swedish society. And one more recent example is the law of consent, samtyckeslagen. Lots of people and organizations for many years worked for this, and then finally a few years ago it became a part of the Swedish legal system. Community-centered then. Oftentimes the entrepreneur may have experienced the challenge himself or herself, meaning that they have a deep understanding of the root cause of the problem, and also a close connection to the target group that they are working with. And this really enables them to tailor-make solutions, come up with more effective solutions, and reach the target group in an effective way. Impact over profit, that may go without saying. This is really a sort of impact over profit approach, where the primarily focus always is on the impact you want to create rather than maximizing the profit. But of course, at the same time, using entrepreneurial methods so that you build over time a financial sustainability into your business. And that, in turn, of course, enables you to reach more people, to create a bigger impact. Within this sector, within the social economy, there's also a huge untapped potential. And quantifying the scope and size of this sector has been a tricky question for many years. But some time ago, the Schwab Foundation's Global Alliance for Social Entrepreneurship did an extensive research that showed that there are approximately 10 million social enterprises operating worldwide. And collectively, they are generating $2 trillion in annual revenues, creating over 200 million jobs. That's quite impressive. So it's about time that we recognize the value of this sector and appreciate the value that it creates. At Reach for Change, we aim to build a more inclusive Sweden, where all social entrepreneurs have the same opportunities to succeed, regardless of where you're from, where you live, and what your background is. And in order to achieve this, we enable entrepreneurs to build sustainable businesses through our incubator programs. So we have incubators, capacity building programs targeted directly towards social entrepreneurs, but we also work with ecosystem development to improve the sort of surroundings, the prerequisites for social entrepreneurs, and try to remove the systemic barriers that they oftentimes meet. And in the center of everything we do is collaboration, because again, no one can do this alone. And in order to reach the most vulnerable groups and communities, we hook arms with other organizations to reach and find both entrepreneurs and solutions where not many others are looking. And one important part of what we do is also to showcase the inherent strength of social entrepreneurship as a method for social change, and to challenge the picture of what is entrepreneurship, what does it mean to be an entrepreneur. It doesn't necessarily have to be the middle-aged man in a nice suit from the fancy parts of Stockholm. It can just as well be a single mom from a small community striving to create a safe space for young women where their dreams can flourish. And the social entrepreneurs that we support, the local heroes, are at the core of everything we do. And I know that some of you are entrepreneurs. Maybe you're thinking about starting a business. Maybe you've started your first, second, failed, want to go and try again. And we actually are looking for new participants at this moment for our program, a new accelerator called Everyone's Business. It's a collaboration between Reach for Change, IKEA Social Entrepreneurship, and IKEA Sweden. So I would like to encourage you to check out our website, our LinkedIn, talk to me afterwards or with Emma, my colleague, and we'll tell you more if you're interested. Okay, so now I've told you a bit about Reach for Change, what we do, and I will now then move on to sustainability trends. That's what this is going to focus on, right? And I have chosen to focus on two trends closely linked to the focus areas we have within our Sweden strategy. Two challenges that the Swedish society is facing today, but actually this could also be seen as opportunities for you as entrepreneurs. And the first one is from crisis to capacity. Reimagining mental health support for young adults. In 2025, the mental health and well-being of young adults is no longer an isolated social issue. It actually has become a structural sustainability challenge and a strategic opportunity for entrepreneurship, innovation, and cross-sector collaboration. Because unlike earlier generations, today's young adults face both a prolonged and unsecure journey into independence, challenged with economic uncertainty, houses shortage when it comes to housing, and a fragmented support system. And a lot of young people tend to fall into a sort of systemic gap. They might be too old for the youth clinics, but also too healthy, at least on paper, for the adult psychiatry. And this obviously then results in unmet mental health needs, social exclusion, and huge socio-economic losses, apart from the individual suffering, of course, that this contributes to. And looking at it from a sort of public perspective, it also leads to increased costs when it comes to sick leave, loss of productivity, but also a loss of innovation capacity. And despite the urgency of this situation, the system has failed to meet these needs and to adapt. So a lot of young people, we recently did an extensive research around this. Many feel dismissed or misunderstood when they seek help. A lot of young people don't even seek help. They don't know where to turn. Or they choose not to do it because of stigma. But where, again then, institutions fall short, social innovators are stepping up. We actually have a program with this specific focus, an incubator called Next in Mind, focusing on mental health for young adults. And we see a lot of interesting and successful examples of the solutions that they develop. So this crisis could also be an opening, a chance for small businesses and social enterprises to drive change, create value, and shape a more resilient society. And I have identified 2 areas where we've seen that this is specifically interesting. There are many more, of course, but the first one is within service innovation. Mental health is an underserved market with a growing demand for non-clinical, accessible support. So examples of this that we've seen within this program are preventative tools, early stage interventions, peer-to-peer services, digital platforms, and community-based programs. And the second area is within workplace well-being. And I think this is increasingly interesting because businesses that support the well-being of young employees see a lot of gains within productivity, retention, and reputation. So it's a way of offering a workplace for young people, but it's actually also a way, could be, to support the bigger businesses and bigger organizations that have a lot of young employees within their companies. So we see a lot of solutions helping big businesses to meet the needs of their young employees. And I think that's a very interesting market. The second trend, is inclusion and diversity. Inclusion as a strategy, the overlooked key to a sustainable future. Inclusion, obviously, isn't charity. its strategy. And in 2025 and beyond, ignoring diversion and inclusion and diversity. It's not just a moral failure, it's actually a missed market. Too often, this area is seen as a sort of side project or a tick in the box, something you have to do. But the truth is that it actually fuels innovation and opens up new markets, brings in fresh perspectives, and helps build solutions that actually work for more people. The businesses that are really successful today are the ones that design with diversity in mind, and a lot of times together with the people who are marginalized. When we design for the margins, we create better solutions for everyone. Maybe you recognize this saying. It actually comes from the disability rights movement, but it applies everywhere, I would say. So again, when we decide with those on the edges, people usually, the people who are usually excluded or marginalized, we often end up with better services, better products for all. And one concrete example of this is the curb cuts on the sidewalks. They were designed for people using wheelchairs, but it's obviously used by everyone. Parents with strollers, people with suitcases, and so on. So it doesn't necessarily have to be complicated, but the solutions come out better for everyone. The last area where there's an opportunity in terms of inclusion and diversity is, and this is a space where the opportunity really comes in, and it links to unemployment. Unemployment is on the rise, both in Sweden and in many parts of the world. Again, especially amongst young people and within marginalized groups. So there's a huge need here and a huge potential. And by designing ways into employment for these groups, as a social entrepreneur, you cannot just, it's not just about solving a problem. It's actually, unlocking talent, building stronger communities, and shaping a more sustainable economy. And I think this goes two ways as well as with the mental health. A lot of our entrepreneurs start businesses who themselves employ people who have a difficulty, stand far from the work, from having a work. But it's also an opportunity, again, to help big businesses. They are screaming for people, they are screaming for talent, but don't know how to reach them. So this could also be a sort of way for an enterprise to be that bridge that gap. And I mean, we will have, after this session, we will listen to two entrepreneurs who are part of Reach for Change Incubator program, Abbe from Förortsinspiration and Yusuf from Rise and Shoot, who will soon be here. I mean, you have both created fantastic organization with a specific focus on inclusion and diversity. So looking forward to hearing more on how it can look in practice. Okay, that was the two trends. I'm not finished yet. I think I have, how much time do I have? We have some time. I think I have.
We are staying here till the end of the day, so.
Okay, perfect.
Our flight is tomorrow, just to let you know.
Have patience with me. I actually have three more tips and tricks, sort of more practical strategies for you as entrepreneurs. The first one, and I have chosen to combine these again with inspirational cases from entrepreneurs within our program. The first one is about building impact into your business model. One of the most effective ways for businesses to succeed in a changing world is by making impact the core of the business, not just as a side project, not just as a CSR initiative, but directly connected to the value proposition. And this, I mean, it's obvious that this is the future way of doing business, but it has a lot of positive sides to it. It resonates deeply, both with the target group, with customers, with potential partners, with funders, but it also leads to higher employee engagement and really an ability to build a strong brand. And one of our entrepreneurs that has succeeded in doing this in a really nice way is Fatma Ghetto, the founder of Watoto Arts. Hi Yusuf, I just mentioned you.
You're so famous.
Welcome. So what Watoto Arts does, it's an enterprise that creates dolls that represent all children's appearances and different family constellations to build conditions for inclusive play and a future without discrimination. So that's the core of their business. But they don't stop there. They take this further and have decided to employ foreign-born women with an expertise within sewing that many times have a difficulty in finding jobs and only use organically produced materials. So they have really taken this, you know, the whole circle, which I think is very inspiring. The second approach is setting measurable goals. To set both clear and measurable goals is one of the most important steps for any business to be successful, but it's even more important for small businesses. And the positive side of this, of working like this, are many. One is, of course, that you become more accountable for what you do. But I think the most important one is that you can track the progress. If you set up a goal, strive for it, evaluate, you also see when you need to pivot and change. So it creates this kind of constant feedback loop into the business again. And at Reach for Change, this is a big focus in our incubator programs. There are many ways to do this, but we teach how to work with theory of change, how to collect data, how to work with impact stories, so you really can use this in your communication as well. And one example of an entrepreneur who has done this consistently from the start is Right by Me. The founder is Anna Lind. So Right by Me is a Swedish nonprofit that empowers young people to lead their own development by providing them with tools, networks, and confidence to influence and transform society towards greater inclusion and equality. So they have adapted this way of working from day one, and therefore they can confidently say that they have generated over 980 job opportunities for youth and engaged more than 1,600 young individuals within their activities. And one thing that they do really well is that they every year produce or develop a sort of impact, social impact report. So the picture is from last year, it's in Swedish, but it's a clear way to show, you know, the numbers. In how many municipalities have we had activities? How many of the young people that we engaged have actually received a job? How many did we include from marginalized groups? So it's a beautiful way of both, you know, tracking, evaluating, and then also communicating the impact that you're creating. And the last approach then is closely linked to this. It's about communication. Communicate with purpose. Authentic storytelling. It's one of the most powerful ways to engage, again, both with customers, with partners, with funders. And I mean, it's obvious that we need to, all businesses need to avoid greenwashing, which is exaggerating or misleading communication in relation to the sustainable efforts that you do. This is the complete difference. It's about transparency and honesty, and meaningful communication, which leads to trust. And we all know that not least the young generation put a lot of importance in businesses which they choose to buy from, for instance, or which they choose to engage with, where both the focus on environmental and sustainable responsibility is a big part of this. And one entrepreneur, and this is my last example, who are really successful in this is Mona Aido. She was also part of our incubator a few years ago. She's the founder of Mermaid Simskola, Mermaid Swimming School. She came to Sweden a number of years ago and did not know how to swim. She realized that that was a skill she needed to have in order to get full grades in school. So she learned the hard way, jumped into the pool and somehow learned how to do it. But what she realized was that this was not just her individual problem, it was actually a structural challenge for many foreign-born families who come to Sweden. The parents may not know how to swim, they don't teach their children to swim. So she started she decided to found her business, and the solution that she's offering is a culturally sensitive swim school offering women-only classes, flexible payments, and a safe and inclusive space. And again, in her communication then, she really uses her personal storytelling to get her message out there. And by doing so, she builds trust through empathy and cultural understanding. And in this way, she makes her business not only be about, how to learn to swim, it's actually also about inclusion and empowerment. So it's a really strong example on how you can do this effectively. I know that many of you, again, are entrepreneurs, and maybe not all of you, but at least everyone in this room has some kind of talent, some kind of skill, maybe a network that can contribute to this movement. Because the social entrepreneurs of today are part of one of the largest global movements of our time. A movement that's driven by millions of people, developing the kinds of organizations and businesses we need in this century. These people, local heroes, are significant in number and present in every community and every society. But they can't do it alone, right? We need to come together in new ways. So I sort of want to encourage you to join the movement, to contribute with every skill or network. Maybe you have funding. Just start by starting, reach out a hand to the one who needs it, and join the movement. Thank you.
Well, after such inspiring and insightful speech, I would like to introduce the social entrepreneur that Andréa mentioned. So Abbe, welcome.
portes se sont faiblies. Tu sais que je vais sombrer, c'est dans mon changement.
Thank you, Sweden. You were generous when the world was cold. You opened doors when ours were shattered and sold. When we arrived, frozen, trembling, broken, from a land where bombs roared louder than children's laughter. Syria is my country of birth, and Sweden is the country where I've been raised. But home, where is that? Seriously, where is that place that I just can simply be me? Where my skin isn't a question, my faith isn't a threat. Where? My name is Abbe, and I grew up in a home without a room of my own. Here in Sweden, not even a bed of my own. But before Sweden, there was war. When bombs fell over our small apartment in Syria, we took the little that we had left and fled to Jordan, to a refugee camp, to a little tent where more people slept than the space could ever hold. Many nights the food ran out, and imagine a hungry little boy goes to the fridge in the corner of the tent, open it, to see just emptiness and cold air. Many nights I closed the fridge and laid down, hungry in my stomach, but even hungrier in my soul. And before we fled to Jordan, my big brother were killed in the war in Syria. And before I tell you about my journey here in Sweden, I have to tell you about my brother. My big brother, he taught me love and courage. He dreamed of becoming a lawyer and help people. But what is a dream when life is torn apart? But still, it matters. The fire burns in me. His dream lives on through me. So I build I dream, I fight, I stand where he fell. His will became mine, and his mission as well. And I don't share his story to make you or me sad. I share the story because his memory is all I have. Today, he became my oxygen, my fire, my call. My older brother, he was someone who always believed in people, believed in communities, believed in teams, and lifting up others. And carrying his message forward have been my only and the biggest motivation that I've had since I came here to Sweden. And because of that, I've been involved in 2 projects, Föreläsningsinspiration and Samtalsringen, Suburban Inspiration and the Conversation Circle. Suburban Inspiration is a project that we create a safe space and shining a light on the hidden talents and strength within suburban communities. Places that often don't get the recognition they deserve. It's about encouraging young people to believe in themselves and their potential. As a part 2, after the Suburban Inspiration, is Samtalsringen, Conversation Circle. And it creates a safe zone for open and honest dialogues between young people and conversation leaders, where they can share their stories, open up, but most important, dare to dream, dare to say what they actually dream about, they dare to say what they're actually good in doing and what the bad things that they've done in their lives to change that. And a big important part of our story and our journey since we started have been Reach for Change. That supports our journey in this. Their mentorship, the workshops and network that they have helped us with. Since last year, we've reached out to over 2,500 youths in these suburban communities, where over 150 of them is now in a conversation circle. And the next part will be a mentorship for these youth, that we get a mentor to every youth of these youth in the conversation circles. Thank you.
The next speech will be from the Yusuf that also Andréa mentioned. Yusuf, now it's your turn.
My name is Yusuf Hussein and I am a 23 years old photographer, filmmaker and social entrepreneur, and also soon to be a high school teacher actually. I'm also the founder of Rise and Shoot, an educational platform that empowers young people from marginalized areas through creative tools like photography, filmmaking and storytelling. But before Rise and Shoot existed, before I ever picked up a camera, I was just a teenager that simply tried to find my voice in a world that didn't always seem to listen. Creativity was always my outlet, whether it was through writing poetry, taking photos, making short films. I was constantly searching for ways to express something deeper within myself that I didn't always have the words to. Here you have some of the first pictures I took with an analog camera for the first time, hanging with some friends in a shopping center. When I was 16, I entered a spoken word competition in Rinkeby, in my neighborhood. It was the first time standing in front of a larger stage, in front of thousands of people. And to my own surprise, I actually won that competition. That moment was a spark for me, a moment that made me feel seen. And more than that, it showed me actually the power of storytelling. That spark led me eventually to photography, some of the pictures, and some other pictures I've taken of my friends throughout the years. I taught myself, I practiced every day, and slowly started to find my way into creative spaces. But no matter how far I got, no matter how many projects I made, film projects, I always noticed something. A very large elephant in the room. There were rarely people that looked like me that I found close to me, people that came from the places that I came from. And I knew that the reason for that wasn't that my community lacked talent. It wasn't that they lacked talent or ideas. I've come to that conclusion that they lacked access, lacked guidance, and they lacked someone to say to them, hey, you belong here too. That's a problem that we're trying to solve through Rise and Shoot. There are countless young people in our outlet, in our outer city communities, who are bursting with creativity and potential, but they are systematically shut out of the very industries that they would eventually thrive in. They don't see role models in those spaces, they don't have mentors, they don't have networks, and often they don't believe in that their stories matter, because no one has told them that they do. And the result of that, talent stays hidden, dreams fade, and entire generations of storytellers are lost before they even get the chance to begin. That's why I started Rise and Shoot. What began as a small photography workshop in Kista quickly became a platform for something much bigger. Today, Rise and Shoot offers creative education, we offer mentorship, we offer professional coaching, and development for youth from these marginalized, undeserved areas. We don't teach just technical skills. We create spaces for young people to believe in themselves. We give them access to cameras, editing tools, and real-world assignments. We help them build portfolios. We connect them with mentors. And again, we remind them of that they should take space in these industries. We've seen shy teens grow into confident photographers. We see these young students take their first photo shoot into their first paid job. We've seen voices that were once silent now shape the narratives of their communities. Because this is more than just art, this is belonging, it's about representation. But most importantly, we haven't done this alone, because being part of Reach for Change incubator program has given me as a social entrepreneur, they've given me structure to a vision, clarity to my mission, and long-term mindset to this work that I'm trying to put in this change that I'm trying to create. With their support, Rise and Shoot has gone from a passion project to an organization growing and impacting lives. These are some of the pictures that these students have taken and contributed to the exhibitions that we host every year. There are young people in our inner city communities that are full of fire, and they are also full of vision, and they are simply waiting for someone to tell them once again, hey, I see you and I believe in your dream. Rise and Shoot exists to be that belief. We exist to show them that their creativity is not only valid, it's necessary, that these stories are not only worthy, they are also very powerful, and they don't have to change who they are to simply fit in. They just need to create, they need to lead, and they will eventually succeed. With that said, I invite you all to scan this QR code and to become a part of this change. I would love to give a big thanks to the MIR Academy for hosting me today. And once again, many thanks to Reach for Change for constantly supporting me as a social entrepreneur. I'm a young, very hungry social entrepreneur that sometimes could be all over the place, but with their support, without their support, none of this would be possible. And if you want to contact me and speak more about how to contribute to this change, I invite you all. These are my socials, and my name is Yusuf Hussein. Thank you so much for having me.